What's up? What's up? What's up? YouTube. It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house again. Uh, just doing cowboy stuff, just checking out some things, and um, breaking news today. Um, Jalen Smith released October 5th, 2021. Jalen Smith, number 9, King of the Swipe, released. Why? Why now? Um, Breaking news. If y'all are joining in today, hit that like button and subscribe button. Just gonna be here for a couple of minutes, just talking about a couple things because that hit me like a ton of bricks this evening. I was at work and got a notification like, what the heck's going on here with this? Anybody that knows, Jalen Smith, a second round pick, Cowboys acquired back in 2016. He came in the same draft with Dak and Zeke. All it knows, he was an All-American, all everything. In fact, he was Micah Parsons before Micah Parsons. Couldn't miss linebacker out of Notre Dame. Probably was a top 3 to 5 pick in the 2016 draft, but suffered a catastrophic injury in the Fiesta Bowl. And it was so bad they thought they might not even be able to save the leg. He had nerve damage and some other things and stuff. So we drafted him with the second round pick, and nobody else would touch him because nobody thought he would be able to overcome that injury. And so the whole 2017 season, we knew we weren't going to have him. And then 16th season, we knew we were going to have him. Then 2017, he kind of, came on the scene. Played him, a little bit here, a little bit there. And, but 2018, man, he bust on the scene because they drafted Leighton Vander Esch. And, we went 10-6 that year. And we probably had, at the time, according to what most people thought, was the best set of young linebackers in the league at that time. And and they signed him, because of his injury. He signed him for a 4 year, $6.4 million, $6.494 million contract, which that's a rookie deal. And he played sparingly in 17, and in 18 he came on the scene, made a Pro Bowl, and then 19, I don't know if maybe the headlines got to him, but some of his play started to regress. Leighton Vander Esch got hurt, and you would see him, kind of looking sort of lost and what have you. But and of course the whole team kind of had some issues, and we didn't make the playoffs, and Jason Garrett got fired and all that sort of stuff. And so 2020, we come in and new coaching staff, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, and I guess none of the guys was feeling him, but our defense was atrocious. And the heading of that list of atrociousness, I'm a Cowboy fan, but I got to keep it real. What do I always tell you? I'm optimistic and I'm objective. I'm optimistic because I always believe the Cowboys are going to do what they need to do, but I'm also objective and understanding that, sometimes we're just not doing things the way they should be done. And Jalen Smith was, the culprit of a lot that was going wrong with our defense last year. If you watch the tape, watch some of the videos and watch the games, you would see he would be continually in the wrong gap, running down guys from behind. But if you miss the gap, then that should have been a 1 or 2 yard gain. If you're in the wrong gap, you're running guys down from behind. He's like, he's 20 yards downfield. Yeah, you got the tackle, but you missed your assignment. So if you look at the 2020 stats, he had 154 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, several pressures, but the tackles don't give the all of the, gonna give you all the information. Now, beginning the 2019 season, he was given a 5-year, $64 million contract, which I thought was excessive for him having really played like one season. But that's, I hate to say this, but that's Jerry. And when I talk about some of the things that, sort of irritate me about the Cowboys, it's not about the play per se. It's about how the Cowboys are run in so many respects. And, there was no reason to give him that much money that soon when he really hadn't proven himself. To me, having one good season, now you want to break the bank with him. And, but see, that to me, that's Jerry. And, much as you love him, a lot of times we, from an organizational, structural perspective, don't get where we should get because Jerry kind of, because I think sometimes he gets too close to the players, and I know Jalen was one of his favorites. And Jalen, let's not get this thing twisted. Jalen was a remarkable human being. He did a lot of things off the field, mentored a lot of people, fostered some business relationships and entrepreneurship amongst a lot of the lesser advantaged individuals. And so he did a lot of good things off the field. But a lot of times I kind of felt like he was a little arrogant on the field, like he was a lot better. He wasn't as good as he thought he was. And this is not a bash Jalen Smith, post or anything like that. And I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to provide context. Okay. And see, and because, and I kind of believe that, when they gave Jalen that money, they also signed Lyle Collins to like a $60 million contract. And see, I thought those were little jabs that Jerry was doing to kind of keep from paying Dak the money, kind of like saying, dude, this money's starting to dry up. I'm paying folks, better get this money while it's to be got. But Dak stuck to his guns and, got, his money and what have you. But see, what people fail to realize is that this whole thing is a business. I know we would love for everybody to get paid top dollar and all that sort of stuff. And that's fine. But understand this is a salary cap league. And, I don't quote Jerry or Stephen Jones that much, but when Dak's contract negotiation was going on, he says, look, we're negotiating and the money that, we don't give Dak, it don't go in our pockets. It's going on the cap number for somebody else. So it's a cap league. So it's a business. So yeah, I want guys to make as much money as they can make, but but at the end of the day, if you have to cut somebody, and we don't know if Jalen Smith's cut was because maybe they paid so much here and too much there, and they looked at his production and it's like, well, your production really isn't saying 60 million, and I think he was supposed to have been paid about 7.2 million this year, which was guaranteed. He's still getting that money, even though they cut it, which shows you how the Cowboys mismanage, those sorts of things. Because if you knew you were going to get rid of him, you should have did this right after the June 1st cutoff, and you could have saved that 7 million off the cap. Okay, so you still got to pay him that 7 point whatever million, even though he's not on the team, which becomes dead cap money. All right. So sometimes what you do when you do things is, I'm gonna say this again, and I've said this many times. We need a real GM that knows how to do these kind of things and ain't trying to be buddy with the players. If you watch the Patriots, Bill Belichick never, even Tom Brady, wasn't trying to be buddy with Tom Brady. You know why that is? Because it's going to come a day when I might have to cut said player for salary cap reasons or production reasons. Okay. Now, if I've gotten too close to you, that's going to make that kind of an awkward thing. So that's why if you're running this business the way it's supposed to be run, instead of like a mom and pop operation, Your GM ain't trying to buddy with the players. It's like, hey, I'm paying you X amount of money for X amount of production. When production starts to go down, then when your next contract comes up or whatever, then we gotta have a conversation. And then, if push comes to shove, like some of these other teams who are running the way, how it should be run, sometimes you get rid of a guy maybe a year or two earlier than you would normally. So you could, but anyhow, and I think overall, the Cowboys really have kept a lot of guys well past their prime. They kept Sean Lee way longer than they should have kept him. I know he was a plus on the defensive end, and he kind of was the compass for what they were doing from a linebacker perspective. But anyhow, so Jalen Smith is cut today, and I kind of have been out on Jalen Smith ever since like 2019, 2020, because I thought he always looked to be out of position to me. And I give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. If you'll go back to, I think it was Game 5 of last year when we played the Cleveland Browns. Okay, Cleveland Browns had jumped out on the Cowboys 31-14 in the fourth quarter, but the Cowboys made a ferocious comeback like they did all of the games last year because the defense was terrible and we couldn't get stops. And so we found ourselves down 20 points going into the fourth quarter on many occasions. Okay. But Dak led us back on a comeback, and we had cut it to like 3 points, and we needed to stop. It was like 3rd and like 15 or something like that. And the Cleveland Browns ran a double reverse or a reverse to Odell Beckham. And if you watch the film, the way that Odin, the guy we got from San Francisco, penetrated, made Odell Beckham had to bend the reverse back like 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Now, if you're a linebacker, you should be your flow should be going towards that. But if you watch the film, you see Jalen Smith kind of just jogging, kind of just loping along, and then it's almost like he was saying, "Well, I know somebody else is going to make the tackle. I just kind of like come up and And when Odell cut through the middle, it was like, oh, I better go get him, and it was too late. By this time, Odell Beckham had already gained his speed, and he had already, scored. And that touchdown really was the reason why we probably lost that game, because I believe if we get a stop on that, because like I said, it was like 3rd and 15, Eldon, I think his name is Eldon, the guy we got from San Francisco. He penetrated and made that, that should have been like a 9-10 yard loss if the linebackers are filling the gaps like they should be and flowing, but he wasn't. He was kind of like jogging. And then when Odell made his move and cut through the middle, it was too late. He'd already, you should have stopped him before he got started, because he had enough time to have gotten there, because he had, went behind the line of scrimmage so far. It was no reason for him to not have been caught, So that's just one play, but there's a lot of plays that if you watch him. But when the reporter was asking him, "So how do you think you've been playing?" He said, "Watch the tape." Like, so this year we noticed, we drafted a linebacker with our first pick, which we was going to get cornerbacks, but Surtain and J.C. Horn got taken by the Carolina Panthers and the San Francisco 49ers, respectively. So we know we needed defense. They ended up getting Micah Parsons, and then with the 4th round pick, we ended up getting Jabril Cox out of LSU. So we drafted 2 linebackers, and then with our new defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, he brought in Keanu Neal, which is a linebacker he had at Atlanta, and Demontre Casey, which he also brought with him from Atlanta, who's like a hybrid linebacker / safety. Okay. So, the writing kind of was on the wall that we were running a new defense. But then, see, I kind of thought like with the new defensive coordinator, with the success that Dan Quinn has had with the Legion of Boom, and that, and the people really weren't feeling Mike Nolan's defense at all. So And see, with this new guy coming in, Quinn, who's got a track record of coordinating championship level defenses, sometimes your reputation precedes you, and maybe you get buy-in from the players. And if you look at the numbers from not Dick Nolan, Mike Nolan. Dick Nolan was his dad, coached the 49ers and the Saints way back in the day. Telling my age here, but yeah, that's back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. But Mike Nolan was his son that coached our defense. But if you looked at the numbers, his defenses were routinely in the bottom third of the NFL's in statistics. So it's like, and you running defenses like, that's not, the players know what works and what don't work. So when you bring this guy in, I'm thinking, well, maybe he'll get Jalen and some of the other linebackers, because Leighton Vander Esch had a bad year too. So the whole defense had a bad year last year. Okay, let's understand that we set records for how bad our defense was. All right, for how many points scored, going all the way back to the 60s. Okay, and it was an expansion team then. So yeah, so anyway, so they decided to cut him. And but here's the thing: here's the mismanagement of it. As I said before, had they went ahead and done this, and maybe they wanted to see if he was going to adapt to the new defense, or with the new coordinator or not. Maybe they could get more out of him. But you knew you were bringing in additional linebackers, so you knew his role was going to be reduced. Okay, and I think I read somewhere where he was in only like 40, 50% of the snaps in the 4 games he's played this year. Didn't start in 2 of the games. Now, only reason he started or played significant roles in the last 2 games against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Carolina Panthers is because Keanu Neal, who's been starting, was in protocol. Okay, he comes back this week when we play the Giants. So and see, with the linebacker room, you got Parsons, you got Vander Esch, you got Keanu Neal, you got Jabril Cox. There's another guy that I saw that he's going to be brought off the practice squad. I can't think of the guy's name. So we're kind of, and then you can kind of flex in KZ, Curse to play hybrid line. So we're good at linebacker, all right? And when you match all them guys together, all of them guys didn't make what Jalen Smith makes. So anyhow, so I think that's what they make. But the thing the how this don't really make sense in the timing of it is it doesn't save us a penny this year. It doesn't help us at all this year. Okay. The only thing we can hope is if somebody will pick up Jalen Smith on the cheap, and you may be asking, well, why just not get anything for him? Why didn't you just trade him? Well, leading up to the trade deadline and leading up to the draft, not the trade deadline, the draft, they had made attempts to try to to try to trade him, without much success. In other words, there were no teams that was willing to take Jalen Smith at his $7 million and $7.2 million salary, because they're looking at the production. They're looking at tape also. All right. We can get 3 linebackers for that amount of money, and they'll be productive. We're not paying him. And then he also had a injury guarantee for next year, which is like $9.2 million. Now we save that for next year. We don't get that. We don't have to pay any of that, because had he gotten hurt, we would have been on the hook for that. If he'd have got hurt sometime this year, then the Cowboys would have been on the hook for that $9.2 million for the injury guarantee that's worded into his contract. But here's the thing. It doesn't save us anything this year. We only can hope that some team might say, and then, like I said, they tried to trade him and nobody was willing to take him at that price, even with the Cowboys willing to eat some of his salary. Like, we'll eat 3 of the $7 million and you'll take him for 4. And nobody was willing to take him because the other parts of the contract for next year is still on the books, so they weren't willing to do it. So, they decided this was the time to do it. So the problem is that we don't save anything this year. Okay, we save, I think we say, because how much money he don't get paid isn't the amount of money that the cap getting relief from the cap. I think we get relief of like $5 million of the $9 million that he would have been owed or whatever from the cap. So we get $5 million cap relief for next year for releasing him now. But had we released him right after the June 1st cutoff, we would have saved the $7.2 million this year and the $5 million next year, which would have been like a total of like $12 million we would have saved over 2 years. And that might not seem like much, but that's like 2 or 3 players you could have gotten with that. And then, of course, we're going to be a little over the cap next year because there's a lot of salaries like Dax and some other hit next year. And then there's going to be some players that are in contract years next year. Michael Gallup's in a contract year. Van Der Esch is in a contract year. Basham, Curse, some of these one-year guys that we got, their contracts are going to be up next year. So Connor Williams' contract is up next year. So we got to have money in order to negotiate with some of those players so we can sign some and let some of them go. So as I always said, it's a business. And here's the thing. See, the Cowboys always seem to do too much. It's almost like we try to make splashes with things. Like, I didn't think they should have paid Zeke as much as they paid Zeke. He kind of jumped the line. They should have paid Dak first. He's the quarterback. Okay. Running backs, I know people don't like to say this, but running backs aren't, an expensive commodity. And I'll give you an example. Now, we went ahead and paid Zeke, gave him a $6 million contract, okay, after he's already played 3 seasons. Okay. Let that marinate for a second. Because most running backs, 5-6 years is about all you get out of them. Now, he's already played 3 seasons, 16, 17, 18, and they paid him right in the middle, sort of right before the 19 season. So he's played 3 seasons already, okay? And then you give him a $6 million contract at $90 million, okay? And at the time, I'm like, why are they giving him so much? I mean, I just played hardball, And so, and I'll give you an example of what some other teams have done. Now, what did the Titans do with Derrick Henry? They gave him a $4-year, $60 million contract, which is like $12 million a year, okay? Now, look, love Ezekiel Elliott. Love him to death. He ain't Derrick Henry. Okay. Let's put that to bed right now. And I'm not just saying this because he went to the University of Alabama. Okay. Look at the numbers. Ezekiel Elliott is not Derrick Henry. Okay. Ezekiel Elliott is not coming anywhere near close to 2,000 yards. Okay. He's just not. All right. I thought Derrick Henry was better than him coming out of college. That's just me. Maybe that's my University of Alabama bias or whatnot. But, Ezekiel did his thing, in college too. But, I thought we should have went and got, Derrick Henry in the 2nd round and got, Jalen Ramsey in the 1st round, a lockdown corner and whatnot. That or my man that the Chargers have now. I'm at the Chargers, but the 49ers have now. The 2 brothers, I thought they should have gotten him instead of, because usually you don't want to take a running back in the 1st round, but they did. And, he ended up being great in the first couple of years. Then Jerry overpaid him. And then, of course, Jerry ended up overpaying him. He overpaid Lyle Collins. He overpaid Jalen Smith. And so when you get into these times, anytime you do these sorts of things, you got to pay that piper at some point. Some point, the amount of money you paying somebody is going to exceed the production that you're giving them. That's why you don't give them long-term contracts. Okay, you wouldn't give no running back 6-year contracts. What other team is giving a running back a 6-year contract after they've played 3? And I'll wait. Because you just don't do that. That's not good business. Okay. Now, so it's what it is. And see, the thing with Dak, it's a quarterback. The quarterback's going to play 10, 15 years. And you can always go back and redo and do some things, and he'll, do that kind of thing. So, but we'll see where this goes. I thought he was playing better this year that he had been playing, based on the scheme. And I thought maybe he would get better as the season went along. He's not credited for missing any tackles this year. So, I don't know. Now, the caveat in this thing is that I think the deal is not effective in terms of what I mean is his release is not in stone until tomorrow afternoon. So there's still a chance they may could trade him, or they may could renegotiate him for a lower price or something like that, or what have you. So I don't know, but that's the news for today. Jalen Smith released from the Cowboys, ended his 5 years with the Cowboys, starting in 2016, and there's some mixed messages, mixed reviews from Jalen Smith, and he's good dude, and who's our man of the year last year. Does a lot of great things in the community. He's a big athletic guy, 6'2", 238 pounds. Is pretty, fast enough, athletic enough. But at the same time, I saw too many times, he in the wrong gap. He's missing assignments. He's taking terrible angles on tackles, getting drugged for extra yards. Go back and watch the Monday night game from 2019 when we played the Chicago Bears, and watch how Jalen Smith is getting drugged up and down the field. He's supposed to be this big physical linebacker. Watch how he's getting drugged up and down the field. That's when I started noticing that he's not. And I don't know if the money, went to his head or whatever the case might have been. But go back and watch that tape that you can go and YouTube that and see what you see in the tape. But that's all I got for today. That's. This could do a couple things. And now I've also heard this. I also heard that, and I don't know if this is true. Sometimes people just say stuff, and I hate when people kind of besmirch guys' character, besmirch guys' reputation and things of this nature. But I've also heard rumblings that he had become sort of not a cancer, but kind of because he is getting a reduced role in the game in the defensive, lineup, and he was not taking that well and was like voicing a lot of his displeasure, and I've kind of heard that too. So, and if he's doing that and he's becoming disruptive to the younger guys, remember we got a young team, and we need our older guys to be mentors to the young guys. And because as your team gets younger, you got to understand they're going to start take larger roles in the schemes than the older players, because they're younger, But he's not that old. He's only like 5 years in, so I can kind of see how you'd be kind of, whatever. But if he was becoming a cancer or becoming disruptive in the locker room, you can't have that. You really can't. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I did kind of hear that. But a lot of times people say things after people are gone and want to make it worse than it was, to make them seem justified in what they did or whatever. So I don't know, but the thing, it could do a couple things. Now, it could open up the thing for some of these younger guys. Maybe Jabril Cox will get some, because here's our 4th round pick. They're real high on him. He's not gotten hardly any snaps. I don't think any snaps this year at linebacker. And and then two, maybe it lights a fire under some of the other players. It's like, oh man, they cut the old head. Man, they'll cut me too. So sometimes, coaching staffs and organizations do that to send a message that, hey, we, expect y'all to play better. And if somebody got to be the scapegoat or be the lamb, that's led to the slaughter for that, sometimes that's done. you know. But anyway, Jalen Smith released today from the Cowboys, and we'll let you know if we receive any more additional information regarding that. So, until that, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Need as many views, as many subscribers as we can get. Trying to give you good content, give you good perspective on all things sports, Cowboys, NFL, college football, and all of those things. Trying to give you great content, and try to entertain you too while we're at it. We try to be entertainers too. Make you smile, make you want to watch the channel. Okay. But Uncle Fred signing off. News of the day, Jalen Smith released. We'll give you more information as it becomes available. Signing out.